The history of witchcraft is long, complex, and rooted in diverse cultural traditions worldwide. It spans from ancient religious practices to the witch hunts of medieval Europe, and it has evolved into a blend of folklore, superstition, and spirituality that continues to shape modern-day practices. Ancient roots and early beliefs. 1. Prehistoric and ancient magic shamanism. Some of the earliest forms of what could be considered witchcraft date back to shamanistic practices in prehistoric cultures. Shamans acted as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, using rituals, herbs, and incantations to heal, protect, and seek guidance from spirits. Cave paintings from the Paleolithic era depict figures adorned with animal skins and horns, suggesting that rituals linked to nature and animal spirits played a role in early societies. Ancient civilizations. In ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, practices that would later be labeled as witchcraft were integral to daily life and religion. The Babylonians practiced divination, using omens and astrology to predict the future. Egyptian magic involved spells and amulets, while Greek and Roman traditions included a pantheon of deities associated with various powers and spells, such as Hecate, associated with magic and witchcraft in Greece. Number 2. Witchcraft in ancient texts. The Bible. In the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, several passages reference sorcery and witchcraft. For example, in the book of Exodus, the phrase, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live," Exodus 22:18, is often cited as an early condemnation of witchcraft. However, these warnings were more likely against harmful magic, as other forms of divination, such as prophecy, were practiced by priests and prophets. The Greek magical papyri. These are a collection of ancient texts from Greco-Roman Egypt that date from the 2nd century BCE to the 5th century CE. They include instructions for magical rituals, spells, and potions, reflecting a rich and complex belief system that blended Greek, Egyptian, and early Christian influences. Witchcraft in the Middle Ages. 1. Medieval beliefs and the influence of Christianity. As Christianity spread across Europe, many traditional pagan practices became associated with heresy and demonology. The Church saw certain forms of folk magic and pagan rituals as dangerous, and this led to a gradual stigmatization of individuals who practiced forms of healing, divination, or spell casting outside of church-sanctioned practices. Herbal healers and wise women. In medieval European villages, people known as wise women or cunning folk practiced a blend of herbalism, healing, and magic. They were typically respected and sought after for their knowledge of healing and folk magic, yet as tensions rose, they often faced accusations of witchcraft. Number 2. Witch hunts and persecutions. The Inquisition. By the 13th century, the Catholic Church established the Inquisition to combat heresy, and witchcraft became one of its targets. Accusations of witchcraft often involved claims of pacts with the devil, black magic, and harmful curses. The Inquisition's efforts to root out heresy expanded to include anyone thought to be practicing witchcraft. Malleus Maleficarum. In 1487, German Dominican monks Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Sprenger published Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. This book outlined methods for identifying, interrogating, and punishing alleged witches, solidifying the belief that witches were a real and dangerous threat. It contributed significantly to the witch hunts that followed. The early modern witch hunts. 1. The witch hunts in Europe. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, Europe was gripped by a series of witch hunts that resulted in thousands of accusations, trials, and executions. The peak of the witch hunting craze occurred in the 16th and 17th centuries, spurred by religious conflicts, social upheaval, and economic hardship. Scapegoating and misogyny. Many historians argue that misogyny and social tensions played a significant role in the persecution of accused witches, who were often women, particularly elderly or widowed women, living on the fringes of society. In patriarchal societies, women who held knowledge of herbalism or midwifery were seen as threats, and their practices were often rebranded as witchcraft. Number 2. Famous witch trials. Salem witch trials, 1692. In colonial Massachusetts, a wave of hysteria led to the infamous Salem witch trials, where 20 people were executed based on accusations of witchcraft. The trials were fueled by a combination of superstition, fear of the devil, and personal vendettas, leaving a lasting impact on American history and views on witchcraft. The Pendle witch trials, 1612. In England, 12 people were accused of witchcraft in the Pendle Hill area, with 10 of them eventually being hanged. The Pendle trials highlight how local rivalries and superstitions played a role in witch accusations. The Enlightenment and the decline of witch hunts. With the advent of the Enlightenment in the 18th century, belief in witchcraft and magic began to wane. The emphasis on science, reason, and empirical evidence led to a gradual decline in superstitions. As medical and psychological sciences advanced, explanations for phenomena previously attributed to witchcraft, such as illness, mental health conditions, or crop failure, began to emerge, reducing the likelihood of accusations. Modern witchcraft and the revival of pagan traditions. 1. The occult revival and the influence of spiritualism. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, there was a renewed interest in the occult, spurred by the rise of spiritualism and a fascination with mysticism and ancient religions. The Golden Dawn, an influential occult society founded in England in 1888, and the work of figures like Aleister Crowley played key roles in shaping modern Western occultism. Spiritualism, which emerged in the United States in the mid-1800s, was a movement centered on communication with spirits, often through mediums. While not directly linked to witchcraft, it contributed to the broader acceptance of esoteric and mystical beliefs. 2. The birth of Wicca. Gerald Gardner. In the 1940s, British occultist Gerald Gardner developed Wicca, a modern pagan religion rooted in nature worship, ceremonial magic, and goddess spirituality. Gardner claimed to have been initiated into an ancient witch cult and blended various traditions to create what he called Wicca. His books Witchcraft Today and The Meaning of Witchcraft introduced Wicca to a broader audience. Core beliefs and practices. Wicca is a nature-based religion that celebrates the cycles of the moon, the changing seasons, and the divine as both masculine and feminine. It emphasizes the Wiccan Rede, a moral code that states, "And it harm none, do what ye will," encouraging ethical behavior and responsible use of magic. 3. The rise of neo-paganism and modern witchcraft movements. In the latter half of the 20th century, witchcraft experienced a resurgence, particularly with the feminist and environmental movements of the 1960s and 1970s. Modern witchcraft is often practiced within the context of neo-paganism, which revives ancient pagan beliefs and rituals. Neo-paganism embraces a wide range of beliefs, including goddess worship, nature reverence, and a focus on personal spirituality. Diversity of practice. Modern witchcraft includes Wicca, traditional witchcraft, folk magic, and eclectic witchcraft, which often combines various practices. Practitioners, sometimes referred to as witches, may focus on nature worship, divination, spellwork, herbalism, or ritual practices. Many modern witches identify as solitary practitioners, while others belong to covens or other groups. Witchcraft today. Pop culture and mainstream acceptance. In recent years, witchcraft has become mainstream, influencing fashion, media, and spirituality. Popular culture has embraced witchcraft through television shows, movies, and social media, often presenting it as a path of empowerment, self-discovery, and connection to nature. 1. Social media and the witch talk phenomenon. Platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok have helped create an online community where modern witches share practices, spells, and rituals. This phenomenon, often referred to as witch talk on TikTok, has brought witchcraft into public view and sparked new interest, particularly among young people. 2. Popular themes and symbols. Crystals, tarot cards, astrology, and herbalism have become symbols of the modern witchcraft movement, appealing to those seeking spiritual tools outside of organized religion. These symbols often emphasize wellness, personal growth, and mindfulness. The evolution of witchcraft reflects the ways societies grapple with the unknown, interpret the natural world, and seek meaning in spirituality. From ancient shamans to modern witches, the practice has continually adapted, blending old beliefs with new interpretations. Today, witchcraft has become a symbol of empowerment and personal agency, embracing ancient wisdom in a contemporary world.